Okay, today we're reading out of As Bill Sees It, references to inadequacy. I'm going to start the reading on page 46. True ambition and faults. We have had a much keener look at ourselves and those about us. We have seen that we were prodded by unreasonable fears or anxieties into making a life business of winning fame, money, and what we thought was leadership. So false pride became the reverse side of that ruinous coin marked fear. We simply had to be number one people to cover up our deep-lying inferiorities. True ambition is not what we thought it was. True ambition is the profound desire to live usefully and walk humbly under the grace of God. Now, Desiree is going to read page 90.
To watch loneliness vanish. Almost without exception, alcoholics are tortured by loneliness. Even before our drinking got bad and people began to cut us off, nearly all of us suffered the feeling that we didn't quite belong. Either we were shy and dared not draw near others, or we were noisy, good fellows constantly craving attention and companionship, but rarely getting it. There was always that mysterious barrier we couldn't neither surmount nor understand. That one reason we loved alcohol too well, but even Bacchus betrayed us. We were finally struck down and left in terrified isolation. Life takes a new meaning in AA to watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch loneliness vanish, and to see a fellowship grow up about you, to have a host of friends. This is an experience not to be missed.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to read 135, and then Desiree, when I'm finished, will read 140. But right now we're on 135. Victory in defeat. Convinced I could never belong and vowing I'd never settle for any second-rate status, I felt I simply had to dominate in everything I chose to do, work or play. As this attractive formula for the good life began to succeed, according to my then specifications of success, I became deliriously happy. But when an undertaking occasionally did fail, I was filled with resentment and depression that could only be cured by the next triumph. Very early, therefore, I came to value everything in terms of victory or defeat, all or nothing. The only satisfaction I knew was to win. Only through utter defeat are we able to take our first steps towards liberation and strength. Our admission of personal powerlessness finally turn out to be firm bedrock upon which happy and purposeful lives may be built. Okay, Desiree, you're going to do 140.
Defects and repairs. More than most people, the alcoholic leads a double life. He is very much the actor. To the outer world, he presents his stage character. This is the one he likes his fellows to see. He wants to enjoy a certain reputation, but knows in his heart he doesn't deserve it. Guilt is really the reverse side of the coin of pride. Guilt aims at self-destruction, and pride aims at the destruction of others. The moral inventory is a cool examination of the damages that occur to us during life, and a sincere effort to look at them in a true perspective. This has the effect of taking the ground glass out of us, the emotional substance that still cuts and inhibits.
All righty. I'm going to read 185, and then Desiree will read 214. 185, boomerang. When I was 10, I was tall, gawky, and smaller kids could push me around in quarrels. I remember being very depressed for a year or more, and then I began to develop a fierce resolve to win. One day, my grandfather came along with a book about Australia and told me, "This book says that nobody but an Australian bushman knows how to make and throw the boomerang." Here's my chance, I thought. I will be the first man in America to make and throw a boomerang. Well, any kid could have had a notion like that. It might have lasted 2 days or 2 weeks, but mine was a power drive that kept on for 6 months till I made a boomerang that swung around the churchyard in front of the house and almost hit my grandfather in the head when it came back. Emotionally, I had begun the fashion of another sort of boomerang, one that almost killed me later on. Okay, you're 214.
Only try. In my teens, I had to be an athlete because I was not an athlete. I had to be a musician because I could not carry a tune. I had to be the president of my class in boarding school. I had to be first in everything because in my perverse heart, I felt myself the least of God's creatures. I could not accept my deep sense of inferiority. And so I strove to become captain of the baseball team. And I did learn to play the fiddle. Lead I must, or else. This was the all or nothing kind of demand that later did me in. I'm glad you are going to try that new job, but make sure that you are only going to try. If you approach the project in the attitude that I must succeed, I must not fail, I cannot fail, then you guarantee a drinking relapse. But if you look at the venture as a constructive experiment only, then all should go well.
And our final reading is on 252. Alone no more. Alcoholism is a lonely business. Even though we were surrounded by people who loved us, but when our self-will had driven everybody away and our isolation became complete, we commenced to play the big shot in cheap bar rooms. Failing even in this, we had to fare forth alone on the street to depend upon the charity of passers-by. We were trying to find emotional security either by dominating or being dependent upon others. Even when our fortunes had not totally ebbed, we nevertheless found ourselves alone in the world. We still vainly tried to secure by some unhealthy sort of domination or dependence. For those of us who were like that, AA has a very special meaning. In this fellowship, we begin to learn right relations with people who understand us. We don't have to be alone anymore.